time rounds. When one person is speaking, the other person can't. Their mic is muted, so you won't be able to hear them when they interrupt. And there's no crowd, which is good. So this is going to be a situation where I truly think that this is probably going to be the better debater is going to come out on top, because you're not going to be influenced by the crowd or people butting in and making side comments here or there. So I think this actually benefits Trump more, because one of the criticisms of Trump is that, he has a bad habit of interrupting. If I'm not mistaken, they counted up one time when he debated Biden, he interrupted him like 51 times or something like that. So I think this format will actually benefit him. What are your thoughts, Suleiman?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think any type of interruption benefits Trump, but the thing is, it's on ABC, and obviously ABC is very much Democrat, on the side of the Democrats. So obviously she's going to have an advantage, from the type of questions that are asked, because obviously they're going to be very much Kamala, pro Kamala, and trying to basically put Trump on the back foot. Remember, Kamala Harris hasn't agreed to any debate on any of the right-wing channels. So again, you can see the perspective where literally Trump's like, you look, I remember, this is from somebody who thinks you shouldn't vote for Trump. But Trump is showing that, look, I'm willing to go any place, anytime, anywhere to debate you. And this is a prime example where they're basically debating on ABC, a Democrat-friendly channel, as opposed to Fox. And Kamala, as far as I know, has up to now refused to debate on Fox.
Yeah, and Kamala has also refused to go on adversarial news stations as well for an interview. She did, I think it was CNN, which, that was a very soft-pitch interview, and she did it with Tim Waltz right there beside her. So, she's here's the thing, and I'll say this to give everyone kind of a quick little perspective on what's going on. So let's go back to July 13th, right? Trump nearly gets killed, right? Huge amount of momentum, right? That Trump's way after he almost got assassinated. He goes to the RNC, does a speech, has crazy momentum. Everyone's like, man, this guy's going to win in a landslide. I saw even leftist channels saying, yo, Trump's going to win this because he took the iconic picture with his fist in the air, right? Defying an assassination attempt. Fast forward a little bit past that. Biden officially steps down and says he's not going to be running for in the election anymore. So obviously that puts Kamala into position to run. She gets all the Democrats rally behind her, between the Obamas, the Clintons, everybody gets behind her, right? And she gets this surge. She starts doing rallies. She starts putting out press releases, etc. And one thing that Kamala's camp did very well, which I will give her credit for, is they didn't put her on adversarial networks to do interviews. She wouldn't do press conferences. She doesn't answer questions. She just does her rallies, keeps it high energy, gets celebrities to show up to her rallies, gets, basically she does a fantastic job of marketing. Let's just call it what it is. She did a fantastic job of marketing. Then the DNC goes, they stick on topics that they know that they're going to win the public on. The first day was pretty much an entire day on abortion and women's reproductive rights. They're demonizing the right for, Project 2025, etc., trying to call them radicals. And, this is kind of where we are now. She's just been really good at avoiding interviews, press conferences, going on adversarial channels. We haven't really seen her have her feet to the fire yet. The CNN interview she did about a week or two ago was a softball fucking interview. They didn't press her on anything. It was very easy. She did it with her Vice President Waltz, who stepped in anytime she felt as though a little uncomfortable. They asked her a question about Trump claiming attacking her blackness, and she said, next question, and they didn't press her on that. So she's really been playing the campaign on easy mode, in my opinion. What are your thoughts, Suleiman?
I agree with you. But I think she's made some mistakes as well, and I think Trump's made some mistakes. Because if you look at it, what's happened is, you basically, as you said, Kamala comes in, they have a huge surge in the polls, a huge surge in everything. And that's before Trump has the assassination attempt. He tells his team not to focus on the assassination attempt. They kind of redirect. He goes with this whole idea of we're going to bring America together. And it's a very failed a campaign directive. And so you see his numbers dwindle, and you see Kamala's explode, both in terms of her coming on, both in terms of, as you said, the way her campaign was ran. She was really doing well on TikTok and various other mediums with these little TikTok shorts. And then what happened was, she made mistakes as well, because as you're right that she tried to stay away from the media, but that only works to a point.
Yeah.
And you can see now that's having a negative impact on the polls. In a number of the polls, Trump is ahead. Now, I don't accept Polymarket because we know it's like Peter Thiel control, but there's other ones that are still showing Trump ahead, although there is one showing her ahead. I think this debate is monumental, because if she manages to do well on this debate or do better than Trump, it's going to monumentally impact the election.
Yeah, I agree with you that you can only run from not doing adversarial interviews for so long, right? She was able to kind of coast on it for a while, but now the debate is kind of coming. She's going to have to put her feet to the fire. So it's going to be interesting. So on one end, it's good for her because no one really knows what her game plan is, because we haven't seen her speak to adversarial media. However, it could also be bad because she's not trained up for pushback. So it could go either way. I agree with you that, I literally said this when I was on the Hodge Twins podcast. I said, because they asked me, hey, if they were to have the election now, who do you think would win? And at that point, I said, dude, I think she could win. And I would argue, even right now, as me and you are speaking to Suleiman, if we'd had the election right now, this very minute, there's a good chance she could win, right? We're neck and neck right now in this situation. I think this debate is going to be the tiebreaker that's going to dictate everything, because the problem with the Trump campaign is they've alienated the very core group of people that supported them the hardest back in 2016. He's taken, far less conservative stances on abortion, marijuana usage. Immigration is a big one that has people angry. He made the comment about, hey, we need to staple green cards to degrees, right? Yeah. This is something that he disavowed Project 2025. Obviously, we got the Groyper war going on right now because, they feel as though Trump has kind of fell back on a lot of his original campaigning stances that he had in 2016 that put him in office. I mean, and I kind of see their perspective. I mean, he's essentially become the politician he ran against in 2016 when he came in originally and he said, we're going to drain the swamp, we're going to get rid of the deep state, we're going to make America great again, etc. People really believed in that. And now he sounds like a politician, right? Crazy enough, he actually sounds like a real politician nowadays, more polished, etc. But that's precisely what the people don't want, because they wanted that raw, crass Donald Trump, from 2016. What are your thoughts, Simon?
You just made a very, very strong argument of why people should not vote for Trump, right? Because literally you've got a scenario where based on everything you've said, and I completely agree with what you said, why would you vote for Trump? Now, if you make the argument a lesser of two evils, he's going to be slightly better. The problem with that is you're accepting that this is what American politics is going to be forever. And you're basically giving up your sovereignty. You're giving up, this is what your podcast's about, isn't it? Being an alpha male, having your own autonomy, having your own decision making. You're literally saying, I'm willing to be basically a slave to the establishment because Trump had to sell out and we still voted for him. I think that's why it's important that actually you withhold your vote and you impact the election to say that actually you alienated the GOP, the Republicans, the Conservatives, and all of the Myron that you said. And that is not going to work. You will lose the election if you do it. And if you do that, you will then get a candidate in the next election who will stand for the people, who will stand for all of those rights you said. If you are willing to sell all of that out right now in this election, you're basically going to have this forever. Give up conservatism. It's going to be a literal liberal. The GOP and the Democrats are going to be essentially liberals, and it's going to be highly problematic. It'll be a foreign nation that controls the U.S. Many of the issues that we believe are intrinsically problematic for the U.S. is going to continue to be there forever. So I am a big. I think you give to add to yours. I wasn't trying to. I know.
No, it's cool.
Trump, but just to use what you said and say that, look, this is important, that why I think people shouldn't vote for Trump.
Yeah, and I definitely see your perspective. Like, if you're a Trump supporter, well, he's kind of went back on a lot of the things that he, campaigned on in 2016. Yeah. My biggest thing, my biggest voting points for him are obviously the foreign policy. I think that he's going to keep us out of war versus Kamala if we go in. I mean, who was it that just recently endorsed her? Cheney, right?
Dick Cheney, yeah.
Dick Cheney, who's a fucking neocon warhawk warmonger, right? The guy was one of the architects for the Iraqi war in 2003. So I think bringing Kamala in is going to create a lot of problems from us from a foreign influence standpoint. And then on top of that, Russia's kind of spiking up their attack on Ukraine. So I think if anything right now, we need to be focusing on bringing someone in that's going to be anti-war and de-escalating the situations going on in Israel and de-escalating the situations going on in Ukraine. I think Kamala coming in would only embolden our enemies to take stronger actions in their conflicts. I mean, Putin clearly doesn't respect Kamala Harris. I think he trolled when he was endorsing her the other day. And, let's not forget that, the current situation in Israel and the current situation in Ukraine was done under the Biden administration. It was literally, which Kamala is number 2 in command of, right? And it's just, and then we talk about
with that.
Go ahead.
So with that, I just feel like we've got no evidence that Trump's going to be better based on his words, and we can only rely on his words.
Yeah.
I know we haven't got enough time, but based on his words, it seems to suggest that he's going to be worse.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I still think he's a far better candidate than her, but yeah, it looks like we're about to start debate here in a little bit. Let's go.
Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump, their first.